Hi everyone, Mike here. Welcome to another episode of Merch Buzz. Today I have an interesting topic. Today I want to talk about how to get more customers with multi-channel selling and of course as a result increase your sales. Now the keyword here is multi-channel selling. Now if you're not familiar with that, what that refers to is basically selling products in more than one place. For example, you can have an online store, but at the same time sell your products on an online marketplace, or for example, have a buy button on your Facebook page, or integrate a buy button or something similar to your website through PayPal or any other service that you're using to accept payments. Now, there are many different strategies how you can generate more sales. We'll look at 5 exactly. A couple of points that we'll be going over is number 1, why you should sell across multi-channels. Number 2, I want to talk about some of the popular marketplaces. So this is definitely certain suggestions and things for you to think about. We'll talk about how to decide which marketplace is right for you, how to integrate your Printful account with an online marketplace, and then some of the drawbacks to keep in mind. Now, throughout this episode, I'll definitely be taking into consideration that Printful is my preferred print-on-demand let's say website, and at the same time business. If you've ever thought about who to go with, where do you go for print on demand? And I'm not talking about merch by Amazon or websites like Redbubble, Society6 or anything like that. I'm talking about an actual fulfillment center. Printful is the way to go. And I really want to make a point for everybody to understand that I don't have anything to do with them. It's just from my personal experience of working with Printful for a number of years. I can't think of a single time when they've actually disappointed me, when they haven't fulfilled an order, or even if there was a delay in fulfilling an order where they haven't had a great communication with me, and their customer service is great. So anyways, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Printful specifically. But trust me, I've done the research. Printful is the way to go. There's a link down below if you want to sign up. If you're thinking about even starting a physical store, if you want to sell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, your own online store, Printful is the way to go. Okay, that's enough free promotion for them. But let's go on. So let's talk about why you should sell on multiple channels. Why not just have one store and leave it at that? All your customers know exactly where you're selling and what the process is. Why should you sell on multiple channels? Selling products online gives you a chance to reach a global audience. But getting your brand's name out there isn't as easy, because now you're competing with hundreds of thousands of other shops targeting the same customers. So sticking to one sales channel might be limiting your chances of getting discovered and making more money. And this is definitely the case if you don't have a lot of experience marketing yourself, your store, your products, and actually doing very targeted advertising. Not only for your store, but the very specific individual products that you have for sale. So one of the reasons why you should sell on multiple channels is to simply increase your customer reach. If nobody finds your store, let's say if you have an actual online store, you'll have a hard time making more sales. So what you want to do is if you sell on your own website, your personal website, and also list those same products on several other marketplaces, your brand and your product reach can increase significantly. That's a very good point to keep in mind. Now, why is that? And what's the other reason? It's because offering a convenient shopping experience is a good idea. People are creatures of habit, and myself included. I have multiple online stores. I've made a lot of sales on Amazon, on Etsy, on eBay. All of those stores are integrated with my credit cards, with my PayPal account, but I go back to the same place when I need to buy something. Once in a while, I'll make a change depending on the type of product that I'm looking for. But for me personally, for example, Amazon is the way to go, especially being having the Prime membership account. Sometimes it's as easy as a one-click process, right? So basically, by being where the customers are, you're making their shopping experience easy and more pleasant. So just because you feel that, it's a good idea to sell on your own website, let's say, or your own online store that you've integrated through Shopify, or let's say that you only want to sell on eBay, you're really missing out on all those other customers that are used to going and ordering through their favorite, online platform or online store. Now, the other point, the other reason why it does make sense to sell on multiple channels is because it will help you understand your audience better. Why? Because you will simply gather more information about your customers and their shopping habits, which later you can use when crafting your marketing or sales campaigns. This is, for example, very true for Etsy, for your online stores, like I said, through, let's say, Shopify, because they will give you the type of information that other platforms won't, and it will be basically search terms. It will actually tell you exactly what the customers have typed into their search in order to get to your page. They will also tell you where those customers came from. So was it a Pinterest post or pin that you had? Was it a Facebook post, or maybe you're running an ad on Instagram, and all that information will be available to you. And if you have different, channels of that information, it will be very, very helpful, because you will know exactly which locations you should advertise in. So, for example, for you, it might be very specific to a single state or even a city where most of your sales are coming from. And then you will definitely have the keywords and search terms that customers are using. Now, if you are a Printful user, like I mentioned earlier, for me, Printful is great. Another reason to sell across different channels is that Printful makes this process streamlined. It is so easy. And let's just take a few seconds thinking about what you would have to do a few years ago, or even today, if you're not using a service like Printful, which is free of charge, by the way. The benefits of Printful in general, and like I said, let's compare it to what you would do a couple years ago. You would have to have your own inventory. Now this, depending on the volume of sales, this could be hundreds of products. It could be thousands of products. So inventory. And let's say if you're somebody, because this is a print-on-demand service, So since it is a print-on-demand service, what you would need are actual printers. After that, you would have to pack it yourself, label it, take care of the shipping details, and then actually ship it. Now, again, with Printful, you don't need to do any of that. Let's get to the second topic, which would be the drawbacks of multi-channel selling. So if you're asking yourself, what are the pros and cons? These are the cons. Like what is it actually, what stands out as kind of the negative, or it doesn't even have to be a negative, but just a bit of a stonewall effect when it comes to selling through multiple channels. Number one is rules and restrictions. Every single marketplace, so this would be true for Etsy, for eBay, for Amazon, like I said, some of the other channels, they have their own rules, so you have to comply with them. Now, for example, Etsy, and we'll just take that one into consideration, they're very particular about sellers working with production partners. The point of Etsy is that you're selling homemade products or vintage products. So if you're saying that you're working with a production partner on a large scale, they don't necessarily like that. But Printful is one of the pre-approved partners, so you don't have to worry about that specifically. And you can also hide the fact that Printful is your supplier because there is a field when you're listing products for sale. They say, who made this product. So if you're not saying I made it myself, they want you to offer that information to your customers. One of the drawbacks I already mentioned, and in this case it's inventory. So not in the sense that I talked about it, where you would actually have to invest a lot of money and have physical inventory on site, but you would actually, in this case, what you need to do is you have to manage inventory across different channels. So, for example, if you have let's say if you have 10 of a certain product that you're selling, and you sell few on Etsy, one on eBay, are you up to date with your inventory? How will you know how many can you sell now on Amazon, or I guess across all these different platforms? One thing, again, that I want to mention, and again, I have nothing to do with this service, but Printful, you don't have to worry about that. They have the products in stock, and even if they run out of a certain product, because of the types of integration that they have, it's actually very easy to either replace a product. So let's say and I'll just go with something very simple, very common, a t-shirt. If one type of t-shirt, one style, one size, one color that you're selling is out of stock, it's very easy to replace it with an alternative through their settings, and now you're able to actually just simply replace the shirt and still send out an item to your customer. The other drawback are fees. Simple as that. Many marketplaces will require you to pay certain fees. Now, these could range from monthly subscriptions to a percentage of each sale. So, for example, I'm going to throw out a couple of costs associated with different stores. So, Amazon all across the board is about $40. So, if you don't want to limit yourself to 40 listings, which is what you are able to list with a free store, Amazon charges $39.99 and pretty much unlimited number of listings. And like I said, you can integrate Amazon stores to Printful, to your online stores. There are many different platforms that offer that integration. When it comes to eBay, eBay has different plans. So basic plan, and these are store levels, I guess you can call them. Basic store, if you like to open a store, it costs $25, so $24.95 if you are paying monthly, month to month. If you like to prepay for the whole year, so one annual fee, then it comes down to $19.95 a month for a basic store, which lets you list 250 items on the US marketplace and 250 items on the Canadian marketplace. So for the total of 500, but in reality it is 250. Premium store costs $59.95 if you pay up front for the whole year, or $74.95, and now you're able to list 1,000 items. Again, 1,000 on the US marketplace, 1,000 on the Canadian. And the anchor store, which would be kind of like a professional store, not that the other ones are not, but it costs $299.95 if you pay for the whole year, and $349.95. And this will let you list 10,000 items on the US market and 10,000 items on the Canadian. So that's those are some of the different options and different fees. The other, I guess this would be a drawback, but it's setting up these marketplaces and keeping track. Every marketplace is slightly different. So setting it up, understanding how it works, and actually maintaining can take a bit of your time. A lot of people, once they get to this point, if you're actually generating sales, they will hire a virtual assistant. That's the new trendy name for basically hiring somebody to do your administrative work. The reason they're called virtual assistants is basically because you are working with this person online. You'd never get to meet them because most likely they're in a different country, and you're paying them about $3 or $4 an hour, and they're doing pretty much all the work for you that you used to do, or that someone would actually do it if you were paying them minimum wage, which depending on your country could be up to 5 or 10 times more expensive than what you would pay somebody in India or the Philippines or wherever else you choose. The last drawback that I wanted to just quickly mention are taxes. Managing your taxes can get complicated, so you have to pull and juggle data from each sales channel, and this can be confusing. It is complicated. One thing, again, from personal experience, the one quick solution is QuickBooks. There are fees associated with QuickBooks depending on the level. Again, the membership that you want to subscribe to. But again, you are running a business, so this is a business associated cost. In my opinion, it makes sense. Okay, now that we've gone through all of that, let's talk about the actual marketplaces. We'll go over some of the numbers when it comes to the amounts of sales, the number of customers, and then the overall kind of impression or the opinion about each marketplace. And it's no surprise that we're going to start with Amazon. So Amazon currently is basically the giant. It has over 310 million active customers, and it receives a bit over 197 million unique visitors each month. So think about that. Almost 200 million unique visitors each month. In 2018, Amazon generated $232 billion in net sales, which was about $55 billion more than the year before. So the growth here is incredible. And then the other point that I just wanted to quickly make is that Amazon holds about 49 of all online retail spend in the US, and about 5% of all retail sales, which is just incredible. Now, if you want to work with Amazon, you want to be successful, there are certain things that you need to be aware of. Amazon is serious, right? So you must follow these rules in order to keep your account in good standing and then basically to get sales. Orders must meet shipping deadlines. If you don't meet a deadline, the customer can quickly, put a ticket through, basically a complaint, and they will get their money back. You will lose that money. Customer questions must be answered within 24 hours. Again, so you have to be on top of that. Tracking information must be passed along to your customer, and there has to be at least one photo of the product that you're selling with a white background. So very specific rules. Again, something that I mentioned when I was talking about the fees, Amazon has two seller plans, individual and professional. Individual plan has no monthly fees, and again, it is ideal for smaller merchants who plan on selling less than 40 items a month. Professional plan costs $39.99 a month, and it's meant for experienced and high volume sellers. Let's talk about eBay. Again, I've talked about eBay, but let's go into a little more detail. eBay was launched as an auction type sales marketplace, but over time, more and more sellers started opening stores and basically offering products to buy at a fixed price at any time. So you don't have to bid, you don't have to wait 7 or 10 days or sometimes a month for the auction to end. If you want to buy an item immediately, you have that option. Today, eBay has about 25 million sellers with over 1.1 billion live listings. So again, huge marketplace. eBay is growing year to year, and according to some of the stats, there were 182 million active buyers over the second quarter of 2019. So that's just one 3-month period. That's pretty impressive. If you want to have an eBay store, you'll have to pay those fees that I talked about. I won't go over them in detail. But again, there are two types of selling fees that you need to be aware of. First one is the insertion fee. So this is when you create a listing, and again, based on the type of store that you have, those will be different. And the other type of fee that you would have to pay is the final value fee when your item is sold. Now, this fee is calculated, it's a percentage, again, based on the category of the item that you're selling in, and it also includes shipping and handling. So it's the percentage of the total selling cost. One of the newer marketplaces is Wish.com. This is one of the newest integrations for Printful specifically. It is an emerging marketplace in North America, but let's not forget that you're not just selling in North America, you're selling worldwide, and this marketplace is massive, especially in Europe, and it's a marketplace with more than 90 million monthly active users. And the other stat that actually comes with Wish is that 80% of Wish customers return to buy again. So 80%, that is a huge percent of retention, and it's probably a marketplace that you want to get into. One of the other ones that we talked about and that I want to take a minute talking about is Etsy. Now, Etsy is unique. Etsy is growing, but Etsy specializes in handmade goods, vintage items, and craft supplies. But again, it's not only limited to those items because of certain integrations such as Printful, where you're able to sell over, I think now they're pushing close to 200 products. I'm pretty sure it's between 160 to 200, and these would include clothing, so t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, tank tops, both men, women's, children's. You have posters, you have coffee mugs, you have leggings, basic jewelry, anything that you can really think of. So all of these items you're able to offer to your customers through Etsy. Etsy has more than 1.93 million sellers and just over 34 million buyers. Again, a huge, huge marketplace. Some of the, things that we need to, pay attention to when it comes to Etsy is that it's really, really important to upload high quality product photos. So this is kind of like mock-up and lifestyle type of images. And then what you want to do is write really creative and accurate product descriptions and also make your product searchable. This is with different and creative keywords, titles, and descriptions. The other marketplace that would make sense, and I'll just mention this fairly quickly, are places like Store Envy. And I've mentioned also, for example, Redbubble, Society6 in the beginning. There are others like Zazzle. But Store Envy we'll talk about because of that Printful integration. Store Envy at this point has more than 60,000 merchants and about 1.2 million unique visitors each month. So again, growing. This is a unique marketplace and definitely something to consider. Now, you're asking yourself, you know what? That's great. There's so many different ways that you can sell online, so many different marketplaces, but how do you decide which one is right for you? So first and foremost, what you have to do is you need to strategize where you want to sell. So things to take into consideration are the type of product that you're selling. So what is this? Is this something vintage? Is this something homemade? Then you're telling yourself, you know what, Etsy is definitely my number one choice, but I can also sell this on eBay and possibly Amazon, let's say, in addition to your online store. Who is your target audience? Like I said, if it's something vintage, you know where your target audience is. So that's something to consider because you want to go where your ideal customers are. You don't want to take a chance. The other thing to consider are regulations and fees. Are they certain rules? How much is it going to cost you? Does it actually make sense to have a anchor store on eBay because there's a high cost associated with it? Will you actually make that money back? And then the last point that I would think about is competition. There's a lot of competition out there, especially in the print-on-demand world, and you basically want to go where your products stand out and where your prices will be competitive. You don't want to do anything where, again, you're going to be losing money or not making any money because you are running a business. This is should be, I guess, a strategic, as they say, well-oiled machine. And basically you want to run a professional business. You don't want to take any chances. So it's really important that you know how much time you're investing, what the costs are associated with it, where your customers are, and all those similar things. So right now I'm going to start wrapping up, but basically what I want you to think about is the overall topic of this episode, and it is multi-channel selling. How do you increase your customers? How do you increase your sales? And it's basically making yourself available, making your products available to different customers. People are, like I mentioned, creatures of habit, and they will go back to what they're familiar. And if they're used to a certain marketplace like eBay or Amazon, they will continue to buy products on those marketplaces. So if you sell only on your online store and you're not so great at marketing and advertising, you might run into some trouble. Your sales might be lower than you would like them to be. We've talked about some of the drawbacks. We've talked about different marketplaces. We've talked about how you can decide which marketplace is the best for you, and how to actually integrate your Printful account with all these marketplaces. All of those integrations are very easy. If you don't have a Printful account, if you've thought about selling online, and like I said, or maybe even in person, click on the link down below, create a Printful account. Even if you don't do anything with it for a while, trust me, you will be thankful that you did it, because it will encourage you to look at some of the products that are offered through that service. Maybe you'll get familiar with the product cost, shipping cost, different fulfillment centers, where in the world you're able to sell. The answer is pretty much anywhere. So it really comes down to you. It comes down to how creative you are, and how much work you put into this. As always, thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, any advice, any stories to share, please leave a comment down below. And see you next time.